Howdy folks, Bluesboyjag here, yet another 3-string cigar box guitar lesson. And this one is by request by a whole bunch of people. They said, I'm looking for a simple blues shuffle on a 3-string cigar box guitar finger style. Well, I've got just the trick. We're tuned to open G. This is an A string down to G. And a D string to normal to D. And a G string to normal to G. Always tune your G string normal. So there's a couple of little tricks that I've thrown in here, nothing outrageously fancy or anything. I thought maybe I would switch it up just a little bit by adding a couple of little different turnarounds in. They're not really different, but if you've been playing blues for a while, then you probably have come across some of these and you've heard them before. If you're a beginner, you may not have heard some of these different changes that I'm throwing in here, but it just kind of polishes up a simple blues shuffle and it makes it maybe a little bit fancier, I guess. That's the best way to put it. So let's start out walking down. So that's a typical turnaround, which is also known as the intro. So what I'm doing here, I'm using my fingers, by the way, because most of the time I use my fingers and I rarely use a pick on a cigar box guitar because that's just the way I like it. So we're going to be walking down the second string from 3 to 2 to 1 to 0. And I'm also playing the first string with my first finger. So I'm playing the second string with my thumb and then the first string with my first finger. And then I'm going back to that second string again. Starting on the 3rd fret, walking down to the 2nd fret with my first finger. And then all the way down to the 1st fret. So I'm just walking down, playing the 2nd string, and then the 1st string, and then the 2nd string. Walk down, do the same thing, walk down one more time, do the same thing. Now I'm playing the open G chord. I'm sure you've heard this before. It's called the turnaround. Well, sort of. The rest of the turnaround is I'm walking up from the 5th fret to the 6th to the 7th, so that's going to be your D up to the E. So, once again, first finger and thumb on the 2nd string, first finger on the 1st string. And you're going to be plucking the 2nd string, and then the 1st string, and then the 2nd string, with my first finger on that 2nd string, 3rd fret. Now I just walk down 1 fret, do the same thing again, and 1 more. So I'm walking down from 3 to 2 to 1 with that first finger on the 2nd string. And here's the trick. I'm sliding my finger down. Now you can pick it as well, but something just a little bit fancier and what I consider to be slightly cooler. I'm sure you've heard that 300 quadrillion times, whatever a quadrillion is. So you can do it this way, or you can do it this way. Either way works just fine. Some people actually do this. I'm walking down from the 3rd fret to the 2nd to the 1st to 0, but I'm using the outside 2 G strings. A little bit more fancy, I guess you'd say, maybe slightly less common. And it doesn't really matter what sequence you're picking. In this case, I'm picking the 3rd string and then the 1st and then the 2nd. And I'm using my 2nd finger on the 3rd string and my 3rd finger on the 1st. These are both the same notes, of course, because they're the same strings. Low G, high G. So I'm sliding down instead of picking. And I'm sliding down both G strings at the same time. And then we walk up to the 5 chord, which is barring across 5, 6, and 7. That takes us to the E chord. There's lots of ways to do this, just like there's lots of ways to do anything on a blues shuffle. You can also do the top 2 strings, or the 1st string and 2nd string, barring 3rd fret, and walking down from 3 to 2 to 1 to 0. My personal favorite is this one. It's a little tricky because you're going to be walking down, like I showed you a minute ago, and sliding instead of picking. Now when I get down to 0, I pretty much have to pluck them because you can't really pull off both of those at the same time, at least not easily. So, notice how I put a couple of extra beats in there. Not really, but it sounds like maybe I put a couple extra beats in. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Right there. Well, that's an empty beat there. It's a beat not being used before you walk up. So what I'm talking about is, did you hear that little, that open chord before the walk up? And I'm also doing that at a lower volume, which is just my preference, which sounds like this. So it's pretty low, and then the walk up is pretty loud. So that's called an accent. I'm also crescendoing, maybe, if you want to get fancy, like if you're a classical music nerd. But you don't have to do that quiet. You can do this too. So you get the idea. So a blues shuffle in the key of G is going to be what 3 chords? Well, obviously G, that's the key. And you go to the 4 chord, which is the 4th note in the key of G, and you play a C chord. So it's going to be G, C, and D for your shuffle. So here's the shuffle part, including the intro I just showed you. Here's the walk up. Notice I'm doing a lot of choking. That's just how I play. You don't have to choke it. Here's how it sounds without the choke. Again, barring all the way across, using the pinky this time to do the walk up. So it looks like I'm using all 4 fingers, but I'm not. I'm only pressing down the 1st finger and the pinky. And I'm using my 3 fingers to do a clawhammer, using my thumb, 1st and 2nd finger. You don't have to do it that way. This is how I'm doing it. So I'm sure you've heard this a million times, and you're probably going, yeah, Jack, right, we know all that. Well, this is a simple way to do it, and it's a little bit fancier than the norm, I guess you would say. The other thing you can do is a walk down, which includes the turnaround up to the 5. So, like I showed you a second ago, but I'm doing the walk down on the 3rd string. Real slow. Now this this is what I like to do. It's my favorite style of doing a shuffle. I'm choking every note. A lot of people are asking about this as well. The thumb is on the 3rd string. I've got my 1st finger on the 2nd string and my thumb on the 3rd string, like I said, and my 3rd finger on the 1st. So it's 3rd finger on the 1st, 1st finger on the 2nd, thumb on the 3rd. Now we have a lot of options here. We can play all 3 of them in a clawhammer style. The pinky is anchoring, and I'm using the thumb and the 1st and the 2nd finger. My 3rd finger is not doing anything at all. Just kind of hanging out. So if we continue this particular chord progression that way. So if you hear all the notes stop, I'm choking with this hand. I'm not choking with my right hand. I'm choking with the fretting hand. That's choking with the right hand. And here's choking with the left. So what I'm doing is pressing down and then not pressing down. So far we've got the intro and the turnaround, which takes us up to the 5 chord, which in this case is the key of E, or the chord of E, sorry. And then we proceed with the shuffle. And I'm going to do 4 shuffles. Actually, I'm going to do 3, and then the 4th one is going to be the walk-up. So that was 3. Now here's the walk-up. Now we bar on the 5th fret, which is the 4 chord. You're like, whoa, lots of numbers. Yep. And that's the D chord. Again, I'm using the clawhammer. You don't have to. And I'm choking with this hand. Again, you don't have to do that either. So here's the regular old shuffle. I like to mix it up a little bit, so I might do a clawhammer, and then I might do a shuffle, and I might do a clawhammer. So that's just a little bit of background on a blues shuffle, simple blues shuffle, using the 4 fingers and doing a clawhammer style picking technique, which is totally different than this style. This is your regular old shuffle, and I'm not choking any of the notes. I'm going to walk up to the 4 chord, 5th fret, and that's just your straight shuffle. But what we did a minute ago was clawhammer. Now you can put both of those in the same song if you like. Chord, which is your G chord. That's the 3rd time, and here's the 4th time with a walk-up. Now I'm on the 4 chord. I'm not choking anything, I'm just doing a straight shuffle. Now I go back to the choke. Now I go to the 5 chord, shuffle, 4 chord shuffle. And that's the same turnaround I showed you at the beginning. So, one more thing on this one. How would you play a solo on this? I'm sure most of you are familiar with the proper scale for this particular key. The easiest way, and this is the only one I'm going to show you today because we've gone through a whole lot of different things here. I'm going to be playing 3-0-3-0-3-0. That's it. I'm going to be playing those 6 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for a solo. So, here's the shuffle. Pretend like there's 2 people here playing. And here's the blues shuffle. So So when I play a solo on top of that, it's going to be boom, ba-dum, 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 for the background, for the rhythm, I guess you'd say. And then if I play the solo on top, I'm only playing the 0 strings and the 3rd fret strings, which means I'm playing the 3rd string 0 and the 3rd string 3rd fret, and the 2nd string 0 and the 2nd string 2nd fret, or I'm sorry, 3rd fret, and the 1st string 0, which means no frets at all, and then 3rd fret. That's all I'm playing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 notes for the solo, right? So here's your little rhythm. Now I'm going to go back down to the 1, which is G, just to kind of set this up for you. The 5 chord D, C for the 4 chord turnaround. Now I'm going to mix it up. We'll get to the solo in just a second. 5 chord E, 4 chord D, turn around. So that was my little guitar solo. Now I'm doing the rhythm again. And that's a second little guitar solo right there. Instead of doing a rhythm on the 1 chord or the G, like a shuffle, I'm playing a little bitty guitar solo. Again. That takes me to the 4 chord. So I hope that helps you out. Take it one little bit at a time and practice and come up with your own riffs and your own licks. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and check out my website, Bluesboyjag Cigar Box Guitars, for 20.5 years. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.